We are so glad to have LLB not only as a customer, but a true partner in innovation. So please join me in welcoming Devin, Eddie, and Liz.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to be here to speak with you about how LLB has been really excelling in the email space. So actually, Vivek kind of stole my opening line here about change being the only constant in life this morning. So I'll give him credit, I guess. He goes first. But we all know that really well in this industry. Things are always changing constantly, right? And challenging us in ways that we weren't expecting. In fact, let me get a little participation here. What are some of the most prolific changes that have happened in the last couple of years, if you've been doing this a while, that has really changed the way you have had to think about your email marketing program? Any thoughts come to mind? COVID. That was a big one. iOS 18, that really challenged us. All the iOS updates that just happen and they don't tell us about, and then we have to react. Any others come to mind? Gmail caching, GDPR, CCPA, all the acronyms, right? AI, ML, unsubscribe laws, all those types of things. So we've been through a lot, right? Switch to now, in our current state, we are facing an uncertain economy, constant policy changes, our spending is changing as marketers, our budgets, availability, our customers are holding back a little bit more. But we've done this before, right? Version of it. We've been through similar situations and we've overcome the challenges, and that experience should really equip us to feel good about approaching this current challenge, this current economy with confidence, right? Everyone feeling good? If that's a little hard right now, that's okay. We have two marketers right here that are going to help walk us through how they've done this in the past and how we can approach the future. So thank you to Devin and Eddie for being on stage with me. Thank you. All right, so this year has already been a roller coaster. Tariffs are very concerning to a lot of retailers, a lot of us, definitely yourselves included. And this can kind of feel like the uncertainty we faced in the beginning of 2020, right, as COVID started to get real. Devin, you actually shared on this stage, or possibly the main stage actually, a couple years back that your aha moment with Movable Inc.'s DaVinci, then Coherent Path, was actually the pandemic. That tool gave you the tools to be really flexible with your email marketing content, personalize at a scale you weren't able to before. There we are. And give you a lot of flexibility with the program. So, and then you shared with me that because of that, your program has actually really excelled. The marketing contribution coming from email has doubled, or grew double digits in the last 5 years, which is really impressive. So I'm curious how you shifted in the beginning of 2020 when the future was so uncertain and kind of what that looked like.
Yeah, thanks, Liz. So we actually had really interesting timing. We tested into, as you said, then Coherent Path in the fall of 2019. We had done a POC, and we really believed that modular personalization was the direction we wanted to take our email program. And we actually rolled out personalization in February of 2020. So just really, in hindsight, fortuitous timing. And we obviously couldn't have predicted what was coming next. But again, we knew that's where we wanted to go. And you nailed it with the flexibility. And we really leaned into that when the pandemic hit. We just couldn't have possibly planned in advance what products from our catalog would be interesting to people in April of 2020, March of 2020, because it kind of changed on a dime as the pandemic hit and everybody was home. And thankfully, we realized very quickly that we could just lean into the content library and just add new content. So instead of throwing out our entire calendar, starting from scratch, scrambling, we just added content in, and the models were able to adapt and learn way faster than we possibly could have. And that was really, as I said, like the aha moment for us. At the same time, we already had a plan. We wanted, as many retailers do, to sort of pull back on promotionality. And we had a plan in place to start sort of doing that slowly, because we just had kind of this magical confluence of like right product line for the right moment and really high purchase intent at the time. We just kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and really accelerated that pullback on promotions. And we took a hit at the top line as a result. But I am absolutely confident that 2020 would have looked a lot worse if we hadn't had sort of personalization offsetting, the decline we had from promotions. So again, that was the aha, and after that, we really just doubled down on personalization. We sort of ate up every single EAP that DaVinci and Coherent Path were willing to throw our way and layered in new tools. At the same time, we went to market for a new triggered email platform to really start to grow that triggered program and capitalize on lifecycle moments and behavioral personalization that just weren't getting tapped in our batch program. And that's really been our formula for market disruptions. So it's kind of this two-pronged approach: consistency, right? Stay the course. Follow through on the strategies that you know are the right direction for the business, but at the same time, read and react to short-term decisions like promotions, because that's going to let us weather that disruption.
Amazing. Cutting promotions is probably the goal of maybe everyone in this room.
And cut it totally. We still do promotions.
Exactly. You still need to do a little bit, but cutting back on it and getting to a place where you can lean on your other marketing tactics is definitely the goal. But I'm curious, Eddie, how did you then remain relevant in the inbox when customers were used to seeing promotions and probably still seeing promotions from a lot of your competitors or other retailers?
Yeah, it's a great question. Similar to what the Adidas team mentioned this morning, the 5 rights, it's really around, the right message to the right person at the right time. We think about it in kind of 2 different paths with batch email and triggered. So in batch, really focused on send time personalization, subject line optimization, and some frequency models that we use in DaVinci. Mm-hmm. And then on the triggered side, we launched in 2021, really just our core shopper campaigns. And since then, we've really focused in on rebuy, reactivation, sending targeted promotions to folks, trying with that intent rather than just it going out to everyone. Mm-hmm. We've ramped up our loyalty program, putting rewards messaging in there, as well as some birthday offers. And really, it's that combination that gives us the ability to maintain the marketing contribution growth. And ultimately, those selling investments and selling dollars are proving to be more profitable than putting it into discount dollars, which is where we're at today.
That's amazing. I love looking at the marketing budget from the overview of the whole program. A lot of times, our teams can get very siloed by channel, even by campaign. And we're not able to kind of understand how it's performing as a whole. So that's a great tip to kind of ask those questions and see if we can get to a budget number or an ROI number from a higher level. Devin, it seems like a key tactic here is to not have a knee-jerk reaction to disruption. But you have had significant changes to your program, upgrades. How do you build trust in the AI approach, the AI technology, and investment, and kind of manage a complex network of stakeholders who I'm sure have very strong opinions about what maybe every single email looks like?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Amy, to your point, like during times of disruption, it is tempting to sort of pull back to what feels comfortable. But I just keep saying flexibility. For us, it's been all about flexibility, and we find that to be so valuable in those times of disruption. And personalized strategies, even though they're more complex, at least for us, have proven to be more flexible and more adaptable. So we have a process here, you're kind of seeing behind me, for how we bring stakeholders along. We host a quarterly stakeholder meeting where we have a big cross-section of stakeholders from across the company, and we're really trying to do a couple things in those meetings. One is retrain mindsets. So people need to see it. We need to socialize the changes, bring them to life, explain the strategies behind them. So they're not just experiencing it in their inboxes, sort of hearing the thinking from the team, and really just illustrate, again, bring to life the value of that flexibility. Testing and measuring, super, super important, right? So we need to build confidence in the changes through testing everything we possibly can. We have a really analytically oriented marketing org, and that goes a long way towards building confidence. It's exactly what kind of got us over the hump with DaVinci originally, which is a humongous change in the way we did email. And then we're constantly sort of measuring the impact of technology investments as well, because that's obviously a big thing that we think about. Not only the investment in the actual tools, but the capital investments to build the capabilities internally are big investments for us. So we need to really be proving the value and measuring the ROI of those investments. And then it's really it's sharing the story. And as you talked about looking at like the program in totality, we work really hard to visualize the financial impact of these layered enhancements over time at the program level, because we can get really obsessed and hung up on sort of the incrementality of one little change. And we're trying to just build an understanding of like the overall trajectory of the program. And we're really intentional and consistent with that narrative. And at this point, there's really no temptation to just go back. This is just how we do email now. And everybody's really, really comfortable with it. Our stakeholders understand the value. Our workflows are all optimized around the DaVinci tool. And if anything, the drumbeat is for more, not less.
Amazing. Again, love the way of approaching analytics. It's like great tips to really look at that from the whole program, but also communicate it. The quarterly cross-functional meetings, I find so many clients find success with that, just sharing what you're doing to get everybody on board. So that's wonderful. It seems like a theme here is the key to kind of weathering disruption is flexibility. The key to flexibility is personalization, and personalization is where that ROI really comes into play. That makes sense, but it's interesting to hear how you've gotten there over the last couple of years. Eddie, I'm curious how you are prepping the team or speaking internally kind of about running the program during the early stages of this time, this disruption, this economy, the uncertainty in the market, and kind of the customer base and what they're going to be willing to spend over the next couple of months, and hopefully no longer than that.
Yeah, hopefully things work out.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're really focused on staying the course. We have some key strategies in place this year. The first being we're onboarding a CDP to really kind of hone in on customer centricity. That should bring in new customer signals that can flow into Movable, different segments that we can push in, and really give us a good blend into our current stack. We're also, we started using Studio in peak of 2024, and we're really trying to lean into it this year. So we're thinking about it in kind of two different approaches. The first being Studio in batch campaigns and bringing in some of the key engagement drivers we have in triggered email. So seeing things like the example here, a cart abandon banner, a promo code reminder banner, things that kind of blend that static personalization with real-time, high-engaging personalization. So the other track is bringing in real-time and high-engagement Studio components into triggered, so kind of the full mix. Things like scratch-offs, gamification, pulling in that mix between the two. And we really feel like it's going to be a good blend and move the needle even further.
Yes, we are so excited to be testing Studio within your programs. We're really excited for those results. And I mean, raise your hand if you're evaluating a CDP this year or looking to optimize your own. I feel like it's a very popular topic right now. So talk to these guys later.
We're kind of going backwards. I realize, like most people, I think are moving from more maturity in Studio into DaVinci, but we're trying to catch up on the Studio side. So we're loving all the content.
Yeah.
At Summit.
I think there's a real opportunity here to be proactive now and build business cases, kind of help your business emerge from all of this. So definitely would challenge everyone to kind of think about what that looks like in your own programs. But elephant in the room, Devin, what about tariffs specifically and inflation and all this that's going on?
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, so that's just we're kind of leaning into the fact that we just can't control all the uncertainty, and we're just going to action on what we know to be true today, and because there's too many possible scenarios that could play out. So that feels a lot like the pandemic, right? We're kind of pulling back out our pandemic playbook, which was pretty well worn, and it worked for us, and going back to that. So as Eddie talked about, kind of we're staying the course, right? We're trying to still invest in growth strategies that we know are important, but at the same time, we're reading and reacting. So we're evaluating expenses all across the business, right? I think every retailer is. We're keeping a really close eye on the market. I know we have groups of people internally are like daily updates on all the situations unfolding. But as I said, we're working really hard simultaneously to protect those growth investments so that we are not losing too much momentum and we are prepared for when we eventually come out the other side of this. We probably won't be able to move as fast as we had originally envisioned, but that's fine. I think it's a great strategy for the company, and our continued investments in MarTech, as Eddie laid out, is a really great example of this approach and sort of protecting for the future.
Yeah, amazing. We totally agree. I want to call out here, too, that even if you haven't necessarily been through these disruptions in the past or at your current company or in your program, like Devin and Eddie have, the decisions you're making today could really be the success story that you're telling in 5 years. So I love the tips of just thinking about what you're currently doing, trying not to take your foot off the gas as much as you can, maybe slowing down a little bit, but not completely scrapping, what you already made the case that would work for your programs. We all kind of have an opportunity here to learn from the past, even if it wasn't your own story, and be strategic about how we move forward. So I actually encourage you all to check out track 1 for the next session. If this was interesting to you, our retail strategists are going to be talking about, the session is Unprecedented Times, Precedented Solutions, which I think marries up really well, that we've done things like this before, and they'll get really tactical about more personalization that performs and kind of how we should be focusing. So hopefully that'll be helpful for your next session. But thank you. Thank you for your time.